I want to introduce Doug Cameron. Doug migrated with his wife and daughter in 1973 from Scotland as part of the skilled migration program. He worked as a maintenance fitter at Liddell Power Station, becoming a delegate. Liddell, that word's been in public debate for some time. An organiser, and then National Secretary of the Australian Manufacturing Workers Union prior to being elected to the Australian Senate in 2007. He's been active in progressive politics, promoting fair trade, not free trade in the union movement and the Labor Party after attending the Seattle WTO protests in 1999. Over to you, Doug.
Well, thanks, Danny. And could I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, pay my respects to the elders past and present, and also pay my respects to Lee for the work that she's done over the years. We've spent a lot of time on picket lines together and fighting against the worst aspects of capitalism. Now, I want to congratulate AFTINET for 20 years of activism, 20 years of critical analysis of free trade agreements, 20 years of submissions, 20 years of campaigning, 20 years of educating working people about the implications of these so-called free trade deals that are the bane of many workers' lives. It's been fantastic, and I also specifically want to congratulate Pat Ranald for the work that she's done over the years. I don't know if you remember, Pat, but I hated the name AFTINET. I just couldn't come up with anything better. I now couldn't think of anything else, but when you're talking about opposition to the worst aspects of trade deals, then AFTINET have made their name. They've been fantastic in all the work that they have done. And you were dead right in holding on to the name, because it's a proud name. It's a name that inspires working people and inspires MPs, inspires leaders of progressive movements around the country. Now, I'm pleased to have played a small part in the formation of AFTINET. It was well needed in 2000 when it was formed. As has been said earlier, I attended the 1999 Seattle WTO. It's a memory that I will never forget. And it was great that my union, the ANWU, decided that we needed to get more information about what was happening. We needed to make sure that we were up to speed on the world movements on this issue. And they funded me as National Secretary to go to Seattle and listen to the debates, work myself way through the riots that were taking place. And I even had some meetings with the coalition government people that were there. They weren't interested in listening to me. And after that period of time, I don't think there was any non-government organizations invited to WTOs for a long period of time. I think it might have been a bit of my fault, because I just couldn't stand what they were trying to do. We've got an organization now that stands up for working people around the country. I first remember talking about globalized issues through the late great Laurie Carmichael. And Laurie would give lectures to union activists about the Pacific Rim strategy. And Laurie, going back probably 30 years ago, more than that, was talking about Australia becoming a subsidiary to the big manufacturing nations around the world, simply providing the raw materials for the goods that were being produced. That has been a big issue, and we are still there now. We also had the position where I was sent to another international meeting on international productivity, where we had Krups, the big German company, talking about freedom of trade, freedom of contract, and freedom of labor movement. That was the trifecta that they wanted to deliver. And when you hear about free trade here, it's positioned as simply being about trade. But it's not simply about trade. Once you immerse yourself in free trade agreements with another country, I am strongly of the view that there is pressure on your social systems, there is pressure on your industrial systems to compete with those countries that you are trading with, and it becomes a race to the bottom in many areas. We see that all the time in this country. And we see governments overstating the economic benefits of trade, underestimating the social and community implications of trade, underestimating the personal effects of workers. And it's been AFTINET who have been an invaluable resource in ensuring that we are educated and committed and arguing against these issues. I've run out of time. I just want to say that COVID-19, in my view, has exposed the fragility of free trade, the problems of global integration. When you integrate through trade, you get locked into the workings of other countries. And we are in a position now where we can't manufacture the basic goods that we need to survive during a pandemic. These are big issues that we'll need to take forward, and I'm sure AFTINET will be raising those issues in discussions on trade. Well done, Pat. Well done, everyone at AFTINET. You are one of the best, most fantastic NGOs in the country, standing up for working class people. Long may you prosper. But in fact, let's hope we don't need you in a few years' time, that we end up getting to a situation where free trade hits the wall, we get fair trade, and we get decent rights for working people in this country. Well done, everyone, and happy birthday.